Let's welcome our first speaker, Yita 同学. And at 9 minutes, you will hear one ring bell, and 10 minutes will be second, will be twice, and then it's probably the time to close your presentations, and then hopefully we will have fruitful discussions after your presentation. Cool. Okay, your turn.
Okay, thank you for coming. My name is Yita. My advisor is Dr. Sun Syuan-Jyun. It's really nice to share my work with you. I'm going to start the story with some biscuits. And here are two sides of biscuits on the slides. And I might ask you which side has more biscuits. It's a biscuit, right? The right side has one more biscuit, right? But how about this? Which side has more biscuits? It's a bit harder, right? If you think it's more difficult, then you are using a cognitive strategy called proportional processing. When we want to tell the difference between two quantifiable things, we usually come up with absolute difference, which is one quantity minus another. But there's another common concept in our brain is proportional differences. It's the absolute differences divided by one of the quantities. And look at the basic. Both of the absolute differences is 1. But if we look at the proportional differences, one is a half and the other is 1/1. So you can see the proportional differences is different. And if you are using the proportional differences to tell how they differ, you are using proportional processing. And making a choice is very vital for animal behavior. They have to choose the right choice, like the habitat. They have enough food and resources to feed their young and feed themselves. So it's very vital. The habitat might not come close to each other. They need to walk very long time to the habitat. And it's especially important in the age of environmental change because the world is changing dramatically in the previous decades, and the animals have adapted to the environment for centuries. And the proportional processing is a common concept in the animal kingdom. Take the green swordtail for example. The female will prefer larger males, and the proportional difference increase. The preference for larger also increase too. But most of the research on proportional difference is focused on the vertebrates like the birds or the primates and monkeys. We want to ask whether this has more to explore in an invertebrate like insects. So here we use our model species in our lab to address the question. This tiny invertebrate is mice. They feed on carcass, but they are really, really small. Their legs are too short. If they walk to search for their food, they will walk to death. But fortunately, there's another scavenger feed on the carcass called barren beetles. They fly around to search for carcass, and the mice will hop on the barren beetle and get to the next carcass where the barren beetle flies to. And this is our field data. We found out that if the barren beetle is larger, usually it has more mice on it. So we propose two hypotheses that mice prefer larger hosts, and their preference is based on proportional processing. And our experiment started with choosing two barren beetles from our lab and measure their polygon width and to represent their body size. And to ensure we can tell the difference between them, so we'll make a hole on one of the beetles' elytra, and we'll call it the focal beetles. Then we will introduce the mice onto the focal beetles. And the two beetles will place into a box, and in 10 minutes they can interaction freely. And after experiment, we will count the number of mice on both of the beetles. And to prevent the light will influence their behavior, we conduct our experiment in bright lights. So this is a picture of our experiment. We do a lot of it. And each beetle pair we will introduce 5 mice density. It's 1, 5, 10, 20, and 40. The number is based on our field data that most of the beetles carry 0 to 40 mice. And we have 50 such beetle pairs, and each pair will conduct 5 experiments. So totally it is 250 experiments. And we analyze our data, use our software And we use generalized linear mixed models. And the effect we use is absolute size difference, proportional size difference, and the mean size to tell if the might have preference on it. And the random effect is the Beetle ID. Okay, this is our result. The figure on the left is the y-axis is the preference for larger Beetle, and the x-axis is the absolute difference on the barren beetles. And we can see that as the difference increases, the preference for larger Beetle increase. It has a tendency, so we can tell that mice do have preference for larger Beetle. And the x-axis is the proportional size difference, then the preference is more significant. But the most significant difference is that when the axis is mean size. And we can see that might density, which is 20 and 40, is more significant. So the might density affects their choice. So what's the benefit, what's the advantage for choosing a larger beetle? Well, maybe larger beetle have larger circle area, so they can carry more mice. And the larger beetle might have better flying performance when they have mice on their body, so they can fight the carcass. And narrow beetle will fight for the carcass. So that larger beetle will more fight. Maybe they indicate that the mice has more accessibility to the carcass. And let's look at the mean size. The y-axis is the number of mice on larger beetle, and the y-axis is the mean size. We can see that when the mean size are small, which means that both beetles are small, then the preference for the larger one is extremely high. So this is the most dominant result we got. And we want to explain it, but maybe it's because that when the beetle are very, very small, it means that they are unhealthy. So choosing the right beetle, choosing a relatively larger one is very important, because if you choose the smaller one, maybe the beetle it can move around, so you can't get to the carcass. But when both of the beetles are large, that means that they are all qualified for bringing you to the next carcass. But our experiment just only only see that whether they choose which beetle. We can't tell that whether they can really differentiate the two beetles. Maybe the mice know the larger beetle, the two larger beetles, who is larger, but they don't care about it. Okay, so our conclusion is that mice prefer for larger host, and the host selection in mice is likely to rely on proportional differences in most significance. And the proportional process might be more common in the animal kingdom, including in the invertebrates. And the future direction might be the causes of the behavior, like the host behavior before finding the carcass, and like the flying performance of beetle with might attached on it. And the cues for the might to differentiate the larger beetle might be important too. Maybe it's the gases the beetle emits, maybe it's the visual information, or maybe it's the movement they make to let the mice choose the host. And here we want to thanks for our lab member to count these mice helping. And this is in another experiment. We have 728 mice on a single beetle, and I think it cost about 2 hours to count all of them. And we have 2 partners at the University of Cambridge, and thanks for them for a lot of discussion. And thank you all for listening. This is the end of my speech.
Thanks very much. Any questions, comments for Yita? Let me have quick ones, like so how the environmental changes will affect the conclusions you showed here. Say like higher temperature or dry days. Will these environmental factors affect these prefer larger beetles conclusion?
Because the barren beetles' body size is dominantly influenced by the environment, like the nutrient or the temperature when they are in larva age or in pupa. And if the environment changes, their body size will be the distribution of their body size will be different to
Yeah.
compared to the past. So the mice might have less choice, and that affect their ecology and their life. And there are the mice and the bearing beetle are important part in the ecosystem because they will bury the carcass under the ground, so the environment will be cleaner when compared to without them. So their ecology and their health will be influenced by the environmental change.
Yeah, so how? I know it will be influences, of course, but it's larger. So your conclusion is larger, they will prefer larger beetles.
Yeah, but
Yeah. So say right now is the temperature is warmer,
yeah,
what will happen?
the beetle usually like cooler environment. So if the environment is warmer, and their body size might be smaller, and the mice might confine the proper host.
Okay, so, okay. Any question? Yes, Professor.
Those data looks quite scattered to me. When you draw the feeding line, have you calculated your significance?
Like, since the scatter is very scattered, how significant of those lines overlap? Any, for example, like student T-test or F-test for those regression lines you draw?
Okay, I have to say sorry about that, but because the statistical it was not conducted by me, so I'm not quite sure of how significant it is.
Okay. If not, let's thanks Yita again.